Alright, the Luka Doncic weight watch continues. More pictures have surfaced online and everyone's saying the guy looks definitely slimmer at this point. No one's denying it, he definitely looks slimmer at this point. Definitely is buying into his training program, and whatever he's doing with a trainer or health professional, he's definitely buying into it. Which many are now claiming has to do with him being eligible for a contract extension pretty soon. Him trying to show the Lakers that they should give it to him is worth it long term and will be able to attain and give them good value in return for it. So we'll talk about that, along with a report about Bronny James and him potentially entering the Lakers rotation next season. So we'll talk about all that and try to break it all down here. But before we get too far into it, don't forget to check out G2A.com. They got your best new games like Elden Ring Night Rain, PC software, gaming discounts, and much more. So be sure to check them out in the video description down below. But now getting back to our topic, and beginning with the Luka Doncic stuff, and there's quite a bit to talk about here. And starting out with the pictures and the weight watch, I guess. New pictures have floated around of him looking noticeably slimmer, and everyone continues to talk about it. Taking pictures with fans at a gym apparently, people pointing out that he has noticeably less body fat, and particularly on his face. Now I'm not too into this and saying one way or another that he has lost a ton of weight or whatever it might be, but I'm simply happy that he does appear to be taking this seriously, isn't waiting around until August, September, nearly at the beginning of training camp to get back in shape, or maybe not the right term there, but simply buy into it and focus more on his overall health and training. Obviously he's actually buying in and not waiting around to later this offseason, he's actually doing it right now. And well, many have a sneaky suspicion that he might be doing this to align with his future contract. If you're not aware, he is due for a contract extension later this summer, being on August 2nd or August 4th, I can't remember off the top of my head, but he will be due for a contract extension. And well, he has 3 options here that he could take, and all of which will be very lucrative. Maybe not as lucrative as the Supermax contract he could have gotten from the Mavericks, but still some very lucrative contract options nonetheless. The first of which being simply to take the 4-year contract that the Lakers can offer on that August 2nd date, that being a 4-year contract worth roughly $230 million. Obviously a lot of money, but not as much money as he could potentially get. The second option being waiting until next summer, then he could sign a 5-year, $295 million contract with their team. So 1 more year of guaranteed money, roughly $70 more million of guaranteed money. A little bit high risk as he does have to wait a year to get the contract, and maybe there might be an injury or maybe something along the way that might hamper that or prevent the Lakers from offering it to him. I doubt it, but I guess you never know. But that would be another option for him. Then for the third and final option, being the highest risk option, but the significantly highest reward option too. That being to sign a 3-year contract this summer, whenever they would offer it to him, and again likely being on August 2nd, immediately when they can, but him asking for a 3-year contract rather than a 4-year contract, which will be worth $165 million over that 3-year duration. Obviously a lot of money, albeit not as much compared to option number 1 or 2, but the benefit to doing it would be more potential long-term money down the road. After that 3-year contract would end in 2028-29, then he would be eligible for a Supermax contract, that being a 5-year, $420 million contract, estimated anyway. That being nearly $500 million and obviously a ton of money here. Now it's obviously not guaranteed quite yet, he can't sign that contract, he would have to wait until 2029, and a lot can happen between now and then, which is where the risk would come from with it, but there's obviously a lot of long-term reward there, and many suspect that he might do that and might try to tell the Lakers to give him that option, rather than him simply signing the longer-term contract right now and giving them more team control over him. Now I personally don't think that's his main agenda when it comes to his training and improved diet throughout this summer, early on at that, but I think I would be lying if I said that it doesn't factor into it. I mean, who could blame the guy? That's a ton of long-term money. Again, roughly $500 million if you would go that third option route. You can't blame the guy. He's trying to improve his overall health and diet to get to that point to be able to get that money, and you definitely can't blame him for it. But much more than that, in my opinion, is him trying to prove the doubters wrong, trying to prove the Mavericks and Nico Harrison wrong for trading him, which is definitely a huge motivating factor for him, and even according to reports that is factored in with it, I think that's much more of it here. Trying to prove them wrong, proving that he can be a leader for the Lakers team and a leader on a championship level team, and be a top 5 NBA player for not only right now, but going into the next half decade, if not the full next decade in the NBA. So whether you want to point to the money, the motivation, the doubters, or whatever it might be with Luka Doncic, there's a lot going into that future contract and what he's trying to do going forward. And well, I guess the pictures are simply some proof to it. He is looking good, is looking a lot more slim, and looking in shape to begin this offseason, which has not even officially started yet, as the NBA Finals only begin later today. But it's a good outlook for Luka Doncic nonetheless, and I'm definitely happy to see it. But after that, then we got some reports on Bronny James, and this one did shock me a little bit, I guess if it turns out to be true. According to an anonymous NBA executive, and gotta love that, he said that Bronny James could be a rotation player for the Lakers next season, even potentially playing 10-15 minutes a night and being a quote-unquote regular in their rotation in 2026. He says that the team will feel like they can trust him. He's going to be a regular for them next year. So with that in mind here, will that actually come true, and what will it take for Bronny to get to that point and become a rotation player for their team? Well, in my opinion, that's depending on two things. One of which obviously being Bronny himself and the impression that he must make on JJ Redick. Even with LeBron on the team, that doesn't give Bronny a pathway to the rotation for simply nothing. He's got to prove it. And not saying that Redick would simply give it to him. That's obviously not going to happen. He didn't give it to him last season. But there is a pathway for him here, and if they don't necessarily fill that spot in the rotation. I mean, as of right now, his direct competition for probably 10 to 15 minutes per night in the rotation will be Jordan Goodwin. I mean, that's who he would have to beat out to get minutes in their rotation last season. Goodwin was a part of their late season rotation and even a part of their brief playoff rotation, so that's his direct competition. I guess between Goodwin, Gabe Vincent if he remains on the team, and Dalton Knecht if he remains on the team, but primarily Jordan Goodwin, as we're simply talking about getting minutes to become a rotation player, not being a 20 to 25 minute per game kind of guy, simply getting in the rotation and his direct pathway to that, which again does happen to be Jordan Goodwin. And yes, Goodwin is not officially on the team quite yet, does have a team option which the team could decline I guess and not bring him back, but I don't find that very likely. They're likely going to bring back Jordan Goodwin, no reason for them not to at that minimum contract price, whether it's to simply get one more contract to have for trade availability or then to be a rotation player for them or to compete for a rotation spot. I think it's fairly likely that he will be back for them and give Bronny James some great competition. And for Bronny to break through and actually beat out Jordan Goodwin or Gabe Vincent or anyone else ahead of him, he definitely will have to show improvement and right away during training camp. And well, if we point to Wade in the G League, that is a good start for him. He had a really underrated and probably unappreciated year by many fans, and yes, we are talking about the G League here, not the NBA, it's not the same competition, but nonetheless, he did look pretty good in it. Last season, during the G League regular season, Bronny did average 21.9 points per game, 5.3 rebounds per game, 5.3 assists per game to 3.5 turnovers per game, 1.9 steals per game, and that's pretty impressive. Then he shot 44.3% from the field and 38% from 3. So yeah, not too bad here and probably a lot better than many thought if you had not seen his stats yet. Very good offensively, very good defensively, and actually shot the ball very well too. Played everything from shooting guard, point guard, even a little bit of small forward for their G League team. So he definitely did get a taste of pretty much everything at the G League level. Exposure to both ball handling ability, playing off the ball, defensively taking on tough point of attack tasks, and even defending some wing players. So he definitely did get a good first exposure to the NBA, or the G League rather, and that might be able to translate to the NBA next season. However, we're not talking about averaging 20 points per game in the NBA. He won't be doing that, and that's not a realistic expectation for him. To simply become a rotation player for them and beat somebody out like Jordan Goodwin, it's going to have to come through 3-point shooting, primarily catch and shoot corner 3-point shooting, and defensive ability like being a good point of attack defender. So if he can do that and prove to be a somewhat reliable option, simply for 10 to 15 minutes per game a night at most, then I guess he could be a viable option for them. I mean, after all, we have compared him to guys like Davion Mitchell, Avery Bradley, Guys like that who are kind of combo guards and pesky point of attack defenders that kind of make their living off of doing that. And that's something that Bronny could potentially become even maybe in year number 2. Now I'm not sure I find it incredibly likely as we are talking about a 20-year-old here, but I wouldn't be entirely shocked by it. Between what he showed at the G League level, how quickly he showed improvement throughout the G League last season, what he could potentially become, and kind of going back to that comparison with Davion Mitchell and guys like Avery Bradley, there is a lot to like about Bronny. Maybe not in year number 2 quite yet, but as he gets a little bit older and develops more into his game and grows into his game, I think he could become a rotation player for them. Again, will it be next season? Maybe, maybe not. I think it will be pretty tough for him, and especially if they add more to their team, which reports say they will, and you know we always hear about that, but will they actually do it? I think it's likely, more so at their front court and center position, but there might be an opening for Bronny to eventually break through, or maybe to give their backcourt some good competition. Overall though, I wouldn't completely rule it out in year number 2 for Bronny, but I definitely find it more likely in year number 3 for him, or year number 4. Again, at that point he'll only be 21 and 22 years old respectively, so we're still talking about a very young player here, a younger player than many guys in the 2025 NBA draft, younger than guys we've even talked about on my channel here like Maxime Reynaud for example, younger than him even in 2027. So yeah, we're talking about a young player here, a guy that has plenty of time to grow into his overall game and eventually become a rotation player for them. Doesn't have to necessarily be this season, albeit that would be great to see. I think there's a pathway for it, but maybe not the most likely pathway for it, especially if they do add to their team. Now I definitely think he will and should be a fill-in player for when guys are hurt and when guys are simply load managing. I think that's fine, and that's when he'll get an opportunity to show what he can do, and if he could be a rotation player for them this season or how long it might take for him to get there. I think that's more about the outlook for Bronny this season, not being an every game rotation player for them, or at least not very likely in my opinion. Again, would definitely not be opposed to it, and it would obviously be a welcome sight and a welcome thing for the rotation, but I'm not sure it's very likely quite yet anyway. With all of that being said though, what do you guys think? How do you feel about the Bronny James outlook, both this season and going forward for their team? And then with Luka Doncic, everything from the Weight Watch outlook, the future contract extension with him, what your expectations for him are, and simply about the talk going on about him. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I'll greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching and have a great day or night.